Gabrielle Baen-Brook, and these are my parents, Sarah Brooke and Jesse Bain. We are here to invite you to join the movement. I remember asking my parents if I was alive when I first went to church. And when they said yes, I was 10 months old. I was glad to hear we had all joined to Middle together. I was pretty happy because I knew that Middle Church was a kind and caring place.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah. I first met Reverend Jackie in 2015 when I was starting my psychotherapy practice. I was introducing myself to pastors of progressive churches as a therapist working with queer trauma survivors around issues of spiritual identity. I was raised Catholic, went to Catholic college, had been part of the Catholic worker community on the Lower East Side since 2003, but was then in the middle of a rocky breakup with the Catholic Church. I was not looking for a new spiritual relationship, but I did bring Jesse to Middle the following Sunday to see what a unique place it was.
I clearly remember the first sermon we heard Reverend Jackie preach. She called on white members of the congregation to show more solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement. Reverend Jackie spoke a difficult truth with such power and such love. And it wasn't just the sermon, it was everything. It was the gospel choir, it was the warm but not overbearing welcome. Sometimes overbearing, but in a good way. No, the not overbearing piece was really important to me as a person of Jewish ancestry, as someone who practiced Buddhism for over a decade, as a queer person, and as someone who tends to be stubbornly contrarian. I was really primed to protect myself against any form of proselytization or Christian exceptionalism. But I didn't feel the need to protect myself in this Christian space. And over time, my sense of safety has grown. But the story of our first visit to Middle does not end with, and we've been coming back ever since. We actually didn't come back for a year and a half because neither of us was looking to join a church. I figured I would only join a church if Sarah wanted me to. And then I would half hold my nose, half secretly be excited. But Sarah was still recovering from Catholicism. So we both agreed that Middle was great, and we didn't talk about it again. So a year and a half later, Gabrielle was 10 months old, and I had just returned from my first trip away from her for a research project and halfway around the world in East Timor. I was intensely jet-lagged, and I was trying to figure out what to do professionally after my project ended. One of those sleepless nights, I felt very aware that something wasn't right, despite so much that was right in my life. I decided I needed a plan for the next day, something to do that had some purpose beyond our daily routine. But what? All of a sudden, I thought of our visit to Middle a year and a half earlier, and I realized that it was about to be Sunday morning. When Sarah woke up a couple hours later, the first thing I said to them was, "We're going to Middle Church this morning." And Sarah looked slightly confused, but was game, and we've been going ever since. I realized that some people might credit God with that middle-of-the-night inspiration. It's not my first impulse, it's not my usual language, but I don't reject it either. Sarah pointed out to me that I was praying that night, that I asked for something and I received it. And I'm filled with gratitude for that, and for the courage I found to overcome my own inertia, my overwhelm, and my skepticism. About a year after joining the church, I joined the gospel choir, which I would say ranks a close second to joining a church on the list of things I never thought I would do. In the same way that I trust Reverend Jackie and everyone at Middle to welcome me just as I am, no matter what language I use to describe the holy, our director, John, welcomes every single voice, just as it is, with such a genuine, gentle love. And I'm not saying John is all peace and love all the time, but he models fierce love for us, and we reflect it back to one another. So even though I don't tend to use spiritual language, I experienced something like faith when the church burned down, which feels like a weird thing to say now. But I've never understood the meaning of faith. Why is it a virtue to believe something with no proof? It sounds more like a vice to me. But when Sarah, Gabrielle, and I went to the site of the fire that morning, I was surprised to feel a really deep, grounded calm arising in me. I felt devastated, of course, but I also felt so certain that middle would survive this. I knew there was enough love and energy to rebuild. Nothing that really mattered was gone. In retrospect, while I'm still certain middle will thrive, I also see that my newfound faith was perhaps a little innocent. Like, the building did matter, and it's gone. I didn't know anything about the financial concerns, the facade, or our neighbor, ironically named Faith. It's easy to have faith when the path looks clear, but I'm learning to have faith when the journey is uncomfortable. And it's not just about belief. At the end of the day, it's about action.
So we know you're here because you love and believe in Middle, because it feeds you. It feeds us as a multi-faith or mixed faithful and faith-curious family. But Middle cannot support us if we don't support Middle, and Middle literally only exists with our gifts. So we're reminding us all today that it's crucial to contribute our time and our energy and our resources in whatever way we feel most called. If you haven't officially joined Middle, you can go to middlechurch.org/join to become a member. And be sure to sign up for a new members class online so we can get to know you better. In a moment, the ushers will pass around the offering bags in the sanctuary, and folks can also offer gifts directly online at middlechurch.org/donate or via Venmo. Thank you all.